Hi, everybody, attendees. We see you. We are so happy to see you. Um, we'll just go ahead and get into it because why not?
Great.
Um, so, hello, friends and loved ones and movement family. It has been such a fucked up last few weeks, and um, I feel like that we just have to say that up top. I think that it's it's feel makes me feel like I'm losing it to pretend that this isn't happening. So I hope that everybody is taking care of themselves and doing whatever they need to do to feel as okay as possible um, in the midst of what we are experiencing right now in this country. Um, I want to say that I feel incredibly inspired is like too small of a word, but I just feel completely in awe of the people in Minneapolis who have filled the streets in sub-zero temperatures all day, every day for weeks and weeks to actively confront the murderers that are killing people killing their neighbors, stealing their neighbors off their streets in broad daylight, seemingly with total impunity. And the bravery and irrepressibility and like relentlessness and like the love that we're seeing in Minneapolis, I feel is a representation of the very best of us and the very best um, hope that we have, which is that people power is actually fucking unstoppable. And we can take care of each other um, in the midst of fascism. And we can run these motherfuckers out of our neighborhoods and our schools and our jobs. And um, I am so grateful to see like sort of the organizing template of like just starting a signal chat, getting to know your neighbors IRL, having conversations about what people's capacity might be, what people need, what people have to offer, and then just like getting to work, going out and helping each other every day, helping each other survive this thing that we're experiencing together. And it's amazing to see the right like shitting their pants and being like, this has got to be some well-funded Soros operation. And it's just like, no, it's just like literally thousands of signal chats and people being brave and generous and loving each other and taking care of each other. And it's a very similar formula to what SYA and our colleagues in this movement believe we need to do to help each other have abortions under repressive conditions as well. So I've been so fucking inspired by watching that resistance take shape. I've been so fucking devastated by the everything. And I really just am sending everybody so much love today. And I think it's like a really awesome time to have um, Becca Ray Tucker join us at Abortion Academy because Becca is like an absolute, a, an abortion hype man like maybe the world has never seen. And it's just
Thank
like
you.
this absolute supernova of love, of loving you and of asking you to love yourself and of teaching you to love the people around you who are having abortions in ways that you might not be yet comfortable with. Um, and Becca has written this gorgeous book, The Abortion Companion, um, which we're going to talk about a little bit today. Oh, I totally forgot to read my intro though. That was the whole
That's
fucking
okay.
point, but then I just
It's
blathered.
fine.
Let me backtrack and welcome you to Abortion Academy. Um, My name is Amelia Bono. I'm the executive director of SYA. I use she, her pronouns. And SYA is a nationwide organization working to normalize abortion and elevate paths to access regardless of legality. We make resources, campaigns, and media intended to arm existing activists, create new ones, and foster collective participation in abortion access all over the country. Abortion Academy is a monthly webinar series where one of our brilliant colleagues takes a deeper dive into their area of expertise. These sessions are for anyone who's looking to deepen their knowledge, connect dots between issues happening at the regional, national, and international levels, or just get some fresh ideas to take back into your community. Audience members will be off camera and muted for security reasons, but you will be able to ask questions in the chat throughout the session. Becca will be talking to us for maybe 20 or 30 minutes, and then we'll start. I will pop back and we will start chatting between us, and you can start asking questions that will feed into our conversation if you have them. And so, Becca, Becca Ray Tucker is a Baker abortion rights advocate and author of The Abortion Companion, an affirming illustrated guide meant to support people at any stage of their abortion journey. You may know Becca as the Sweet Feminist on Instagram, where she has built a thriving community of abortion supporters. Becca is one of our like real absolute fave abortion cheerleaders and someone who, like, as an individual, has immeasurably changed the culture around abortion. Um, and she's going to be talking to us today about sort of like finding your voice essentially as an activist. Finding, I don't know if your lane is the right way to say it, because I feel like part of your thing is like you don't need to have a lane per se.
Yeah, your
Um,
place, your niche.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, finding and I think like this book really feels like a way to find your voice around abortion. Um, and much of your work I think focuses on that. So I will hand it over to Becca
Okay.
to show you some slides, starting with this extremely cute
Yes.
child photo.
Yes, so I think I'm like, I don't know, 8 in that photo maybe. But it shows that I have always loved cake, and later grew to love abortion access, as you can see in this other photo. This sign is still in front of my house, along with the one that says "Fuck Greg Abbott." And yeah, the QR code on it leads to resources. But next. Okay, so can you guys hear me? You can't, can you?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. I can't see any of you. Okay, so you might know me from these cakes that I started putting on the internet in 2018. Originally, they were just about feminist topics defined broadly. But as time went on, I decided that I wanted to narrow down and focus on, reproductive rights in general and abortion access specifically. This Abortion Pills Forever cake on the right is from a collaboration with Shout Your Abortion. I am so grateful for you all and for inviting me here today. But I didn't really become a content creator on purpose. That's sort of just what happened, which is kind of funny. But I want to take you through well, first I'll tell you why cake. So I used cake because it's what I know. It's accessible, it's disarming. It's you're scrolling through your Instagram feed and you see this beautiful cake that's talking about prison abolition. You're like, wait, okay, it's a beautiful cake talking about prison abolition. I'm going to pay attention to that for a second. And I always baked. I started baking with my grandma when I was a child. And so that just sort of was always there. And then I was living in DC starting in 2015. So I was there when the Trump administration came in. And it was horrible to be there at that time. And I was really looking for community. So I decided that I wanted to. I don't know, be on the internet, and I decided to use cake to do that because I already was a baker. And I'll talk more about that later, but I also want to share with you all that the cakes are very powerful to talk about abortion because when JD Vance was on Joe Rogan's podcast a few months ago, he suggested that liberal women were publicly celebrating their abortions. He said baking birthday cakes and posting about it on social media. Joe Rogan said, I think there's very few people that are celebrating, but I mean that is tangibly that is about my cakes. And so I was just really, really excited to have abortion access be on the stage like that, via something as, I don't know, innocuous as cake. So I want to talk a little bit about how we got here. So I went to Grinnell College. I was a religious studies major when I was there. And my third year of college, I found out I was pregnant, unexpectedly. And I didn't know what to do about that at all. I knew I didn't want to continue the pregnancy, but I had no idea how to access an abortion. And there will be more, we'll talk more about this, with the book later. But that turned out to be this really huge thing in my life, that I had obviously no idea that that would be such a big thing in my career, and my heart and my interactions with other people. So at that time, when I graduated college, I moved to DC. I was like, okay, like I'm going to work at this nonprofit place. I'm going to do grant writing. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that time. But while I was doing that, I was baking on the side. So I decided, hey, I want to like move into the food world. So I started working at a chocolate company. I also worked at, if you've ever been to DC, the best bakery in DC is Baked and Wired. So I worked there for a while. So I was doing food stuff. And that is when I started the Sweet Feminist sort of at the same time. So I had my full-time job at the bakery doing my food stuff. And then I was also on the internet as a Sweet Feminist. And then the pandemic happened, and I got laid off from my food job. So I had to figure out, like, what do I do now? And that was very, very scary for me, to try to strike out on my own and figure it out. But I was able to pitch a cookbook, called Baking by Feel, which I still love. And I think that it is the first cookbook that includes an abortion story, in it. I was really proud to include my abortion story. So while I was doing that, I was still doing the Sweet Feminist. But the internet was like becoming somewhere I really didn't want to be anymore. I never really want, as I mentioned, I never really wanted to be an influencer or content creator. That was sort of just a means to an end of connecting, with other people. So I'm like, okay, what do I do now? So I started writing more, and I created a newsletter called A Little Something Sweet, where I started, publishing longer form, content. And this coincided also with, my work on the internet being like really heavily suppressed, along with, everyone else that talks about abortion, basically. So I figured out like the internet is not a stable place for my work to be. Like I need it to have a tangible home, that is in one central location. And that's sort of why I landed on a book, which is The Abortion Companion that came out 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so that's, well, I don't know. It's weird when there's no feedback, but that's sort of the timeline. I want to talk about how I do my work. And the first value that I have is that you don't have to choose a lane. You don't have to choose one thing. And I think if you do multiple things at once, that can actually make your work stronger. So, like, if you want to merge, painting and abortion advocacy, that's wonderful. If you, I don't know, want to merge tech and advocacy, that's wonderful. There's just so many things that you can bring, to the movement, even if it's, baking cakes, as in my case. I think, like, over time, what stood out to me about why I think my platform might be successful is that I engage authentically. I'm not going to tell you I know something if I don't. If I don't know something, I will try to find out. I do try to be sort of the same person that I am, in my real life and on my internet presence, to sort of build that, trust with my community. And yeah, it's hard to maintain over time, especially on the internet. It's hard when you can't, directly connect with people. So that is a challenge of sort of my work on the internet. And another reason that I wanted to do the book and go out on tour and talk to people directly. Another important part of my work is that I consider myself a curator. I take the responsibility of having such a large community like really seriously. I don't share things that I haven't verified. I make sure that the things that I'm sharing are, in line with all of my values. And I think another part of what I do is amplifying things that are already out there. So that's like connecting with organizations and other people in the movement to amplify that work as well, instead of, just like posting my cakes in this echo chamber and never partnering or collaborating with anyone else. Um, Another important thing that I bring to my work is continuing education. I over time, like the more I know, the less I know. And I think it's so important to like figure out where like you could be stronger. So like an example of that is like this past year, I read Beyond Limits by Dr. Shelley Sella, and her work really pushed my own about being even more inclusive of people who have later abortions and talking about that all the time and being like, you know what, we don't need viability lines, we don't need any kind of abortion bans, and putting that as a central tenet of my work. And I think it's important to, as you learn, be able to be flexible and bring that into your work instead of being ashamed or embarrassed that you hadn't done that previously. And ultimately just trying, like, a lot of what I do is just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. Um, and you have to be willing to for some of the things not to work out, and for to handle rejection. So yeah, I think a big part of my work is just continuing to try. Yeah, despite whatever that might feel like sometimes. I want to talk about why I do the work also. So I had an abortion at Emma Goldman Clinic in Iowa when I was 21. And as I mentioned, I felt really good about that decision. But that doesn't mean that I didn't also have a lot of shame, like a lot of internal shame, because of just the culture that we grew up in, that is like totally immersed in abortion stigma and shame. So even though like I would have told you at before I had an abortion, I probably would have been like, I'm pro-choice, but I would never have an abortion myself, which is wild to me now because, why not? There's nothing wrong with abortion. There's nothing wrong with people who have abortions. But that's sort of the internalized stigma that I had. It took me a long time to unravel that. I'm gonna drink some water. Hold on. This is my new water bottle. It's my favorite color, which is pink. That's what my daughter tells me all the time. She's two. So I had a lot of that internalized shame. So I wasn't talking to people about my abortion for a long time. But when I started This Week Feminist, I started to connect with more people online. And that was people from Shout Your Abortion, that was people from We Testify, and many other organizations, and just individuals who showed me how to talk about abortion and people who have abortions in a way that did not have shame. And I really hadn't heard that before. So that was, so impactful to just connect with other people, and listen to other people's stories. And that really helped me affirm my own, even in my own mind. And that's something I really love about our movement. There's so much creativity and love in the repro movement, because there are so many barriers and challenges and things to overcome. Like it's always been like that for us. So we've always had to be creative and scrappy and innovative. So there's somebody have a chat. Hold on. Oh, sorry. Yes, I will speak slower. Yes, I will share. Hold on. No, it says it's paused. Is it sharing?
Do we not know if your slides are moving forward or
No, the slides are, can you see the screen?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I can't see it.
We can see we're on the why I do my work
Oh, okay, great.
slide.
Sorry. I can't see it myself. Okay, so what does the last thing say?
I like to win.
Yeah, I like to win. So as you mentioned, like since I've been doing this work, we have seen like a tangible change in the way that people talk about abortion. In the even meaning like people saying the word abortion has changed in the past decade since I've been doing this work. And that is like a material, tangible win. Sorry. I really want to figure out how to share it so I can see it.
Yeah, that sounds
Oh,
so
okay.
annoying.
Okay.
Did you do
Got
it?
it. Yes.
Okay, hell
I
yeah.
can see it. Okay, so I like to win. Yes, and there have been wins. I mean, I know there are a lot of losses. There are a lot of political losses, access losses. But from the shame and stigma viewpoint, I think there are a lot of wins to be had there, and we can get there. Um, Next. Okay, so yeah, a these would be the things that I would say are like the goals of my work. And those would be culture shift, visibility, and sustainable advocacy. So one of my main goals is to just get affirming messages like in front of people visually. And I think Shout Your Abortion and I really overlap there. So one of the things that I wanted to do is create, merch that is affirming and that people could stumble on without looking for it, just like they stumble upon all this like horrible, shameful, stigmatizing stuff. So yeah, I made these bumper stickers, I made ornaments, I made postcards, I made these t-shirts that I tried to come up with every descriptor that I can come up with. There were like 150 of them at one point of pro-abortion blank, pro-abortion Midwest princess, pro-abortion dog daddy, pro-abortion whatever. There were so many of them because any whoever you are, you know someone who had an abortion, you love someone who had an abortion, and we should act like it with our messaging that is visible out there. And another thing, like for me, is sustainable advocacy. So for me, like being on the internet as such a visible person takes a big toll for me, and it's not really what I'm looking to do going forward, especially, as the social media platforms are horrible and unstable anyway. And so a way that I've wanted to do that is just by continuing to create with other people in sort of real life or using the internet as a facilitator but not necessarily social media. So one way I did that was with this All Options community cookbook, which was a fundraiser to try to keep All Options doors open, which they have kept their doors open, which is amazing. But basically with this I was soliciting recipes from other people, compiling them into this um, digital notebook style cookbook, and people could make it a donation and receive a copy. And that follows in this long tradition of community cookbooks. Women in particular have been using this as a way to raise money and connect with other people for a really long time. And so I wanted to do something in that vein as well. So I would say a big part of my work is also evolution and being able to change based on new things I learn, new things that I'm interested in. Um, Ultimately ending, yeah, with the abortion companion is sort of where I'm at right now. And yeah, I'm just so excited. Here it is. It exists in tangible form. And this, I don't know, the abortion movement purple. I feel like everything in our movement is this purple, but it's really beautiful. Does that feel right? I can do questions, or Amelia, we can talk now.
Yay.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you, Becca. That
Uh-huh.
was so wonderful. Let's chat for a little bit about
Great.
some of what you've said and about the book. And if folks want to ask questions, you can do so in the Q&A chat
Great.
thingy. Um, oh, yeah, that's better. That's a better distance for me.
I
Um,
couldn't see you. It was just me talking to
okay.
my screen. I
That
minimized you and then it wouldn't let me bring you back.
that sounds so hard. I feel like I wouldn't be able to do it. It's like if you're trying to do like an interview or something and you can like hear an echo of your voice.
It was
It's
like
a
that.
Yeah. I can't believe your sensory skill set to override that. Erin is apologizing in the chat. She put a spotlight
No,
on
that's
you,
okay.
and so it's her fault.
No, it's
Um,
not. I minimized you. It was me. I did
oh,
it. And then I couldn't
okay.
figure out how to bring you back.
Well, look, this
I
is the
panicked.
perfect example of how little fucks we give about perfectionism around here.
Right, right.
And I think that you spoke to that beautifully. And it's one of the things that I love about your whole ethos and this beautiful
Thank
book,
you.
which I've been spending the last few days with. Becca just visited us in Seattle, which was so special last weekend.
It was
And
so much fun.
we had a little, so it was the day that Alex Preddy was murdered. And I think and it was like cold and dark in Seattle, January. And I think you know, it was a really good time to be with people doing this loving activity of making Valentines for abortion providers, which I have put in envelopes and I'm ready to send out to like 7 different clinics. Um,
Wonderful.
and yeah, it was wonderful to be with Becca in person and just kind of like talking about um talking about this book making its way into the world and how exciting that is. And I guess like I wanted to first just ask um you how so the book came out what officially like 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, the 13th.
Um
2.5.
and like how are you feeling? It's such a
Yeah.
major thing.
It's so strange when you write a book, it takes so long for it to come
Yeah,
out after you finished it. So there's a
yeah,
period of time where like you can't do anything. But
totally.
I felt so energized at being able to actually talk to people about it and it not being like an
Yeah,
abstract thing. That's
yes,
been amazing. It's been very validating. But it's weird. It's weird to have something
yeah.
out in the world that is so personal to me.
hmm
But other people's responses to it have been, wonderful for me to be able to, yeah, connect with people
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
I feel like you and I have a very unique, super like honored position in the world where like thousands of people have told us about their abortions.
Yes. Yes.
And I will I absolutely never be tired of it.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
single time it happens is so special.
Right.
And I'm sure that you've had so many people talk to you specifically about how your way of talking about abortion and about this book, like how it has allowed them to find self-compassion in a way that like didn't exist before. And I assume that like conversations like that are fuel for your work.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I'm
It's
so,
like if
so
one
lucky.
person felt that way, it would like be worth it,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know?
That's the true measure of success of
Yeah.
the book. And I'm so honored that people share that with me. And I wrote the book from the perspective of that. Like I had an abortion myself, and that informs the book, but more so the book comes from all those conversations that I've had with people over many years, about what they need that they didn't get,
hmm
what they did get that helped them.
hmm
Lots of things like that. So everything in the book comes from the other people trusting me to
Yeah.
hold that experience for them, and that is really amazing. It is a unique experience. I forget that other
Yeah.
people don't get to hear those all the time. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's why abortion storytelling is so amazing in general, and that's part of what made me feel okay with talking about my own story because before I had an abortion, I had only heard one person talk to me about their
hmm
abortion story or in front of me or anything. Um,
hmm
and that was it. That was the only time anyone had ever talked to
hmm
me. I talked to people who had had miscarriages, but that was never talked to
hmm
me about. That was never connected at all,
Yeah.
for me to abortion care.
I thought that it was so I thought that it was really interesting the way that you articulated that like you found out you were pregnant and it was like not a decision. It was like, I'm
No.
having an abortion, which is
Uh-huh.
exactly, I fully relate.
Uh-huh.
So it's like even when we talk about like it's always framed as as a decision. And like
Yep.
for many people it's not. It's like, oh,
Yes.
okay, I'm having an abortion. Um,
Yes.
let alone like the most difficult decision. Like I think that it's an
Right.
absolute non-decision for a lot of people. And I
Yep.
thought it was really interesting how you articulated the fact that like you you were sure and you didn't feel fucked up about it, and
Mm-hmm.
yet you like felt shame. And I think that you do
Yep.
this really good job of like articulating that um a lot of like shame is just this, it's like an external force that is placed upon you that is not
Yep.
necessarily in line with your own values or feelings
Yes.
or experiences or feelings about your abortion or whatever. And
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting that you talk about that, like, this was a non-decision, you felt fine about it, and still it took you 5 years to speak
Yep.
openly about it, which leads me to my question that I had while perusing your book, which is, are you a therapy person, Becca?
Yes, I went to therapy for the first time in 2020,
Okay.
and that's why I wrote Baking by Feel. Baking by Feel came out of my therapy experience, but I also
Yeah.
am friends. My three of my best friends, therapists, three of
Yeah.
them.
Okay. So you are. You're
So
getting, yeah.
yes, I would say, and this book cannot replace therapy, but it
No,
does incorporate things that I have learned from my own
totally.
therapy.
Totally.
Yes.
Well, I thought it was really interesting because it's like you you clearly like have a strong sense of yourself, and of like of your values, of your voice. You are I love the way you like own the shit that you're good at and accept compliments without sort of like giving them back and being like no or like whatever. And like you can sense that even in your telling of like you found out you were pregnant, like you knew exactly what you wanted to do, and
Mhm.
yet you've been like incubated
Yeah.
in anti-choice bullshit your whole life. So like there that was there to break through or whatever.
Yeah.
um so I guess like can you talk a little bit about like how that worked for you?
Yeah. So I was particularly afraid of what people would say, like not my
Hmm.
friends, not people who loved me, but because I was a college student in this
Yeah.
really small, like 1,400 students total environment,
Hmm.
like I was very freaked out
Yeah.
about that because I never heard of anyone having an
Yeah.
abortion at Cornell College, which is absolutely not the case. There are so
Yeah.
many people
You're
that
like,
have
I am the
abortions at Cornell
only,
College.
I'm the only one.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
felt like I was the only one. So I had these things playing in my head that were like,
Hmm.
I have to feel remorseful. I have to mourn the experience of motherhood that is tarnished, that I'm not going to
Hmm.
experience now. But those thoughts were not my own. Those ideas were not my
Right.
own. When I'm like, wait,
Right.
does that align with what I actually think
Hmm.
about myself or about people who have
Hmm.
abortions or about parenthood? No, that actually
Yeah.
really doesn't. But it takes a while to separate out what you actually think versus what has been just placed onto you
Hmm.
from other people. And also, someone had shared about my abortion to someone else, and they had talked to me about it, and that was a really traumatizing experience for
Hmm.
me because at that time I hadn't talked to anybody about it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy for me to imagine that now that it would upset me for someone to ask me about
I
my
mean, it
abortion.
is like violating, you
Yes,
know?
yes. And I do tell people like you should never share about anyone's
Yeah.
abortion without their consent. But I've come a long way. Sometimes
At the
hard to
time, it felt
remember
like a scary
what that was
secret was
like.
being discussed behind your back with
Uh-huh.
potential judgment and like, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that contributed to you wanting to like own your story in a different way?
Yeah, I think so. I think I knew that like I wasn't always going to keep this as an
Hmm.
internalized thing. Like that didn't track with who I am at all,
Yeah.
but I didn't have language for how to talk
Yeah,
about it.
totally.
Or like a community to
Right.
talk about it either. And once I
Yeah, it
found
didn't
those things, it
exist.
became
Yeah.
very easy. Once I had a model for that. So that's something that I try to do in my work is model affirming language for people, so they can,
Hmm.
adapt that into their own lives as they're talking about abortion and people who have abortions.
Yeah, totally. I think that uh there's a part that I really love that you sort of just touched on when you're talking about that like I don't know, just sorting through what is and isn't yours.
Hmm.
And there's a part in this book that is there's this like self-compassion exercise part, which is this is like a thing that I totally say to other people, like not just about abortion, but about, you know, like a friend who's like beating themselves up because their rent check bounced
Hmm.
or because they like I don't know, just something that like literally doesn't. So I'm just going to read the self-compassion exercise blurb. I bet you're a great friend. You know how gently you treat the people you love, how careful you are with their hearts. You validate their experiences, remind them how special, important, and valued they are, and assure them that you understand. As it turns out, it's possible to talk to yourself like that too. And then it's like a work is like let's give that a shot. And you have a letter that you've written to yourself, sort of like um showing yourself compassion for like your abortion and what how you did or didn't feel or communicate about it at the time, etc. And I love the thing where you're like I often to my friends am like I want you to show yourself as much compassion as you would show literally everyone in your
Yeah.
life, a loved one, a person that you know and dislike, and everybody in between. You know,
Hmm.
like you don't believe in that your self-worth is like measured by your success in capitalist
Yeah.
metrics. And I think that it's like a really good, almost like CBT mental reset
Yeah.
to just like interrupt your talking shit about yourself brain and be like, would I say that to my friend?
Right.
You
You're
know?
so right. Yes. And you know what you need to hear. Like of all the
Yeah.
exercises in this book, like this one helped me the most when I tested it
Yeah.
when I was doing it. Not all of them were good. This one was good. And so when I wrote mine, I was talking to myself about how I thought that I wouldn't be able to enjoy motherhood, but I wrote this
hmm
soon after I had my daughter, and I'm talking about how motherhood's not rude at all for me. That was always
hmm
something that was going to be something I wanted to do, I think, regardless. And
hmm
um, yeah, giving myself the space to name that specifically and say that
hmm
actually didn't happen. Here's what's actually happening. Was really powerful for me personally. Because
Yeah,
there is a difference
totally.
between how I thought about my abortion at the time, how I think about myself and my abortion now.
hmm
So you gotta have space for both of
Yeah.
those selves, compassion for both of those selves, I think.
Yeah, compassion for both of those selves and even just kind of like recognition, because I think in the recognition, you like see how you've evolved in a way that
Hmm.
is really, you should take a lot of pride in, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
I also love that you have like, so Becca has like there's like a shame exorcism section, and then there's like an anger
I hate shame.
exorcism
I hate it.
section.
Shame is
Yeah,
my
me
number
too.
one nemesis.
I'm
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm against it. 1,000 in 1,000% of
Hmm.
scenarios. Uh,
Hmm.
I think it's like a really, really, really unproductive emotion. And also like in a broader sort of like cultural, emotional, like what does shame mean
Yeah.
sense, like I don't think that it's the same as saying like if like you're a total bitch to someone and it makes you feel like awful. I think it is like totally okay to be like, I really didn't like the way that that felt. I feel not good about it. I want
Yeah.
to like not do that anymore. And maybe I want to try
Uh-huh.
and make amends to that person. I think that that's like, I don't think that being like anti-shame means like don't ever check yourself and allow yourself to
Yeah.
feel badly about anything that you've ever done.
Yeah.
Um,
And there's the internal experience of shame, right? And then there's how
Yes.
it's weaponized. So like
Yeah, totally.
they use shame
Totally.
to control.
Yeah.
Because if we think that
Right.
if no one talks about their abortions, we think that no
Yeah.
one has abortions, which is not correct.
Yeah.
Which is a subtle way to control us,
Yes.
even if it's not
Yeah.
saying the
It's
goal of the
right.
shame
It's
is.
like, yeah, I mean, it's definitely kind of an invisible, like, compliance machine
Hmm.
in a whole bunch of different ways.
Yep.
Um, there's also something that my longtime therapist said to me forever ago that I always remember, and I've probably said before, but like there there's a lot of forms. I think that there's like social stigma shame like we're talking about, and there's
Hmm.
also like a form of shame that's sort of like if the people that I love really saw me, they wouldn't love me anymore.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that's
I have
more
that.
like,
I have some of that.
and I think that it's, what the antidote is to that is
Hmm.
shining a light on it
Yep.
to the people that you love. And
Yep.
very often that is not the case. And
Yep.
I think that that's the way that you neutralize that shit.
Hmm.
And like it it's I think a way to keep us like I don't know, like we're all just like isolated in our own heads and our own shit,
Hmm.
feeling it's like feeling fucked up about something and then feeling fucked up that you feel fucked up about it and then feeling like a bad feminist because you're having bad thoughts about your body or like
Hmm.
you can apply it to a million things, but it's
Yeah.
like this is like mental conditioning that we all share. And I think it's like really, really healing and it like kills the scary shame monster to just like
Yeah.
talk about it, talk about
Hmm.
like, I'm really fucking embarrassed that I like overdrew my bank account.
Yeah.
And I need to just like say that.
Yeah. And to be, yeah, witnessed by people who
Yeah,
love
to be
you.
witnessed and
Yeah.
then loved.
Yes. Yes. To be seen as you are. Because it's so
Yeah,
easy for us to see the people we love and say, yes,
yeah,
I love you exactly
yeah,
as you are.
yeah,
But you're inside your own head. It's much harder. You see much more of
totally.
yourself. So it is
Yes, that's
harder to
true.
offer that same
And
level.
she's messy sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I know her.
Yeah, yeah, I know her. I love that in your anger exorcism chapter, the or section, the first
Uh-huh.
line is just, I fucking hate Brett Kavanaugh.
I do. I hate
Want to
him so
just,
bad.
yeah, I want to just say that. I want to just say that out loud. I fucking hate Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah, because your anger could
Also,
come from so many sources, but Brett is
oh yeah,
definitely
Brett,
the
big
worst.
Brett.
Yeah.
Um, this is a gorgeous book, and I'm like so excited for people to encounter it. And I think that you will continue to hear the ways that it changes people's lives for the rest of yours.
Oh,
And
that's very sweet.
you will, and you'll never be able to see the full impact because it will be boundless.
I hope so. That's very sweet. I
It's
hope so.
it's I it's 1,000% true, even if
Yeah.
you like never talked about it again.
Yes.
Like
And
I
that
fully
is
believe
really
and know
meaningful to
that.
me. Thank you. Especially because it is something tangible that people could just stumble
Yeah,
upon. And
exactly.
it is evergreen.
Exactly.
A lot of the stuff in it is evergreen. Some of the resources may not exist in the current form that they are, but I do have a living resources on my website. So
Hmm.
the version of it that is in the book will obviously not stay accurate forever, but I will upkeep the digital version of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So we have a question in the chat that was something I wanted to ask you but forgot, which is,
Uh-huh.
can you talk a little bit about how you deal with the trials and tribulations of being online? How
Yeah.
do you stay sane with all the trolls and meanies?
Yeah. I
And
mean,
I would add to
honestly,
that, not even just the trolls and meanies, but like um, people that are on your side and coming at you in some kind of inappropriate or
yeah.
discouraging or difficult way.
Yeah, so I have not figured this out. Yeah, you can set up like all the barriers that you can. So like blocking
Yeah.
all the words, only letting people who follow you comment. So I set up all of those and that
Hmm.
does take out like a significant. portion of it. But for me, it's very dysregulating for my nervous system
Yeah.
to be on receiving any kind of input, even if it's a bunch of positive stuff. That's still,
Yeah.
stuff that's coming in. So for me, it's like really having a regulated nervous system when I'm like going in to do it, when I'm getting on the internet to try to do something, because if I am dysregulated, like I might be like, oh, I'm gonna respond to that, and I normally wouldn't. Like even if
Uh-huh.
it's somebody just like, I don't know, not even really that mean, but just wants to fight
Yeah.
with me about something, I might respond when my nervous system is dysregulated. So I'm trying to avoid those
Yeah.
situations where I might be drawn in, because that's never helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big thing for me. I mean, ultimately it sucks. I think being on the internet, being like
Yeah.
on social media and so visible in this way, it's bad for you. It's bad for most people,
Mm-hmm.
I think. So that's something that I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to move forward with being in community with people without um
Mm-hmm.
all of that, if it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that that's a universal experience like for people even without an audience or
absolutely.
expectations or like is just like how do we how do we do this not here
Right.
because it's so poisonous.
Right. And it pisses me off so bad because I started posting on Facebook over the summer. I was like, I'm gonna put reels on there. I want to reach more people, like people who haven't seen my
Hmm.
stuff. And I did. That was great. But I got all these horrible people too. So
Yeah.
I have people sharing their stories, maybe never shared their story with anyone,
Hmm.
maybe never seen
Yeah.
anybody
Ugh.
engaging. And then it would take me literally like hours a day to go through and block like the hundreds and hundreds of people that would respond to them and be horrible. And I had to take a break from the internet after that, because it just made me so, so mad that there were
Yeah,
people wanting this space, this affirming, safe
for
space.
sure.
And I just like couldn't hold it for them,
Yeah,
no
totally.
matter how hard I tried. So, yes, as you were saying,
Yeah.
trying to figure out the ways to move beyond that. And your book is going to do that, right?
Yeah, where
Mhm.
SYA is making so Becca wrote The Abortion Companion. SYA is creating a book that is called The Abortion Manual.
Hmm.
Um and it will be released in spring of next year. Is that right? Yeah. And
2027.
yeah.
Yeah.
And um we are hoping that it will be, I don't have like a perfect elevator pitch for it yet. And I'm like getting over a cold
I
and my
put you on
brain
the
is
spot.
tired. No, that's okay. But it's basically like how to have an abortion and help people have abortions and participate in grassroots abortion movement work, no matter what the fuck is happening,
Hmm.
like now and forever. Um, The best thing that I can think of is like the anarchist cookbook for abortions. But then
Hmm.
that makes me think of like cooking abortions, which
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
is like a
yeah,
bad
yeah,
vibe.
yeah.
Um, but
I run into that problem too.
yeah, right. Yeah, totally. But no, our book is going to rule and we'll talk about it more soon. I'm co-writing it with Jex Blackmore, our all-star organizing director who is on parental leave right now. Uh, And yeah, we're super, super hyped about it. It will be published by our publisher, our longtime publisher, PM Press, um, who is super values aligned and down for us to say whatever the fuck we want. And we'll stop at nothing to get it out there. And that's the kind of publisher you need to have in this day and
Yep,
age.
yep,
So we really hope that the book tackles stuff that currently feels like very difficult to talk about in print, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Um, and yeah, we're super excited. We'll be talking about it more and more. There's a question in the chat that is like the opposite of the how the fuck do you
yeah,
exist online?
yeah.
Which is how do you find the energy to find action items to do with your community? I
Yeah.
run my local women's network, but I'm overwhelmed on what to do as tangible items to get my community out there.
Amelia, you take that.
Um, so chat, SYA is really working to answer that question for activists and would-be activists um, in a range of ways and sort of like provide a range of like inroads to um, community action, essentially. Uh, if you haven't already, we would love for you to check out the tools page. What is it? The get involved page. Will one of my smart coworkers put that in the chat? We have a page on our site that is essentially a bunch of suggestions about how to get involved in this work. A really good example is the toolkits that we've made. Um, I don't know though. So like the take action tab, Erin just put it in the chat. Um, it sounds like I can't tell from the way this question is phrased if you're looking more to like join an existing effort or create something new. And I think that there's like a distinction there. But I would love for you to check out these toolkits and see if you get inspired by anything that you see there. And really just like this whole take action page, we hope that there's like a range of um, options on the menu. But I think that like to the question of like how do you find energy to do that? I think that like all of our energy sort of waxes and wanes. And like I think it's really important to not put pressure on yourself to like always be out there organizing or be online. You know, I as like a semi-public person sometimes feel a pressure to be online and I like refuse to let myself get fucked with by that, you know? Um, and I think that we all have to do that with putting ourselves out there and being in community and trying to do stuff. It's like, I think it takes a while to really listen to like your own limits and like what your body and heart and mind is telling you and when you need to rest. And like, in order to do movement work sustainably, we just have to stop burning ourselves out and we have to stop like with this sense of urgency that's like, I need to work all day, every day, like until this problem is solved or whatever,
Yeah.
you know?
Uh-huh. I'm I'm guilty of that.
Yeah,
I'm
we
trying.
are
I'm
all.
trying to not do that as much. Yeah. I see
Yeah,
another
totally.
question. With so
Yes.
much information, misinformation out there and AI making it worse, are there tools and resources you use to ensure you're not spreading misinformation? So if I see something new, that's always something I want to
Mm-hmm.
investigate, like something that I've never heard of before, or someone I've never heard of before. I think it's
Uh-huh.
really important to um, identify people that you trust as sources as well.
Yeah.
So that's just like an easy way to filter some things out. Um,
Yeah.
to identify like a few
So
people
like
that you
if you
really
see,
trust on that topic in particular
yeah,
also.
totally.
Yeah.
So like if
Um,
you see like a really alarming, you know, the Texas State House just passed something saying they're going to execute people for having abortions.
uh-huh,
It's like, do you know someone who understands policy
uh-huh.
or like state level, you know, stuff, or is in Texas and knows abortion people in Texas, and like, yeah, going to some of those trusted sources to ask before you just like post
Yeah.
is, I think, the best way.
Yeah. And knowing which news sources or research sources
Yeah,
are good, like ProPublica, Guttmacher, they're great.
yeah, yeah.
For information about how to access care, I Need an A is great, for
Hmm.
good quality information, because Google lies about stuff like that.
Yeah, totally.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that a good thing is to just like build in some time to check around before we just like instinctively react and reshare stuff, you
Yeah.
know?
Which is hard,
Um,
especially, right now, as there's just so
yeah, for
many moving
sure.
parts, so much terrible things. Yeah.
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 Um, I that's all the questions that we have, and I feel like this may be a good natural stopping point, but is there anything else that you wanted to like
Mm,
share? Look at you guys, look
let
at
me look at
this
my little note. Oh,
beautiful
it's
Valentine
Stella.
that Stella made for
So
Becca's
amazing.
yeah, for Becca's Valentine making party. Isn't it so good? We're going to
It's so
put these
good.
on our website to be like downloadable, and then you can go have your own Valentine making party and send abortion providers Valentines. And just FYI, if you're like, how would I find a clinic to send a Valentine to? What we usually do is just go to the Abortion Care Network page. Abortion Care Network is the national organization that serves and represents independent clinics. And then we go to their member page and their provider page, which I'll put right now in the chat. It looks like Erin just did. Here's the specific like abortion providers page. And if you, and then it has them organized by state. And all these people deserve love letters like all day, every day. You can't make a bad
Hmm.
choice. So, maybe you want to make a choice like we did the other day to send Valentine's to providers in Minneapolis who are
Yes, that is
holding
great.
so much right now.
Yep.
You might choose something that's like topical based on like legal fuckery that's happening or just whatever, follow your heart. And then you
Yep.
just can click on these and clinics have their addresses on there just easily accessible on their website, usually in the contact page. And yeah,
To build on
that's,
that, I'm
yeah,
running a book swap for the Abortion Companion
yes,
because not everyone needs books right now. But lots of people want to help someone who does. So I am like playing matchmaker and connecting clinics, abortion funds, student groups, anything like that, with people who want to donate free books. So I will, if you fill out my Google Forms at the link in my bio, if you're a requester or a donator, I will match you. So yeah,
awesome.
consider that. And I guess my last thing is like my takeaway is like if it doesn't exist, you can build it. You don't have to just wait for
Yes.
somebody else to do it. It doesn't have to be
Yeah, and
perfect.
just try. I
Just
love
try.
that.
I think
Just try.
that's
Just
my
do your
main
best.
takeaway. Yeah. Some
Just do
things will
your
work, some
best.
things won't.
Yeah, do your best.
Hmm.
Take it easy on yourself. Don't be embarrassed about things you didn't know before you knew them.
Yes. Yes.
Um, like I think that all of that is it exactly what we need. What we don't need is people who are afraid of fucking up
Yep.
and stay on the sidelines.
Yep. Hmm.
And scary internet culture is a huge part of why that
Of
apprehension
course.
exists.
Yeah.
And also, there are so many people who are not like that
Yep.
and who are ready to like support you stepping into your voice and doing a thing.
Yep.
Um, and that's kind of the whole point.
Yep. It's beautiful.
Um, it is beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so
everybody.
much, Becca, for being here.
Thank you.
We love and
Thank you
appreciate
for the
you
opportunity.
endlessly.
This
Oh
was so
no.
wonderful. I love y'all and everything you do.
Oh, you
You
just
frozen?
froze for like 1 second, but then you came back. I was like, oh
Oh, okay.
no.
Okay.
But anyway,
I was just saying I love y'all and I'm so grateful.
yeah, same Z's. And everybody, please take
Mhm.
good care of yourselves, whatever that means. And we're all in this together. We got this. And yeah, I believe in us. That's my
Okay.
final word on the matter.
I do too.
Yeah, we're
Yep.
unstoppable.
I love winning. We're gonna win.
Yeah,
Hmm.
totally. We are.
Hmm.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Let's
Hmm.
do it. Thanks,
Okay.
everybody, for being here. Sending love to all, and we'll see you next month.
Bye.
Bye.